good afternoon to each and every one of you assembled in this hall. It's definitely a privilege and honor for me to be part of your annual day celebrations, giving away these awards, which reminds me of several functions that we have within Cognizant. You know, when we started again, we used to have annual days every year. I remember the first annual day we had in the Russian Cultural Center because we were very small. Then second year it moved to Music Academy. I think third year we went to the Fisherman's Cove Beach. And then subsequently many years in the Convention Center, beyond Porur. And then for a few years we had it in Nehru Stadium, and we couldn't really find a hall that could hold the entire Cognizant in one arena. So we gave up celebrating annual days, but they still have some celebrations within the business units. So this reminds me of those annual days that we used to have in Cognizant. But I do want to congratulate and wish each and every one of the award recipients today for your continued success, continued contribution to Congruent's success. And I also wish you that you will continue to grow and have the same problems that Cognizant had in terms of finding venues to fit the growth of Congruent. So wish you all the very best. Just listening to Balu on the introductory, Balu's, that you all call him Bala, but I call him Balu. On the introductory remarks, one sort of advertisement slogan came to my mind. When I was in IIM, the Asian Paints used to have a slogan, in the world of glittering colors, something stands apart, Asian Paints. I think Congruent truly represents that statement. The IT industry in India has grown significantly. There are thousands and thousands of services companies. And amongst that crowd, I think Congruent is aspiring to differentiate themselves by focusing and specializing, not just in a broad insurance, but in the pension and retirement area. And even there, and trying to be very innovative, leveraging the state-of-the-art technologies, coming out with products like Core DC, which sort of definitely differentiates you, and you do stand apart from the crowd. And that's clearly the direction to go. And I really want to congratulate the entire Congruent team for staying different in a crowded marketplace, and that's the hallmark of long-term success. Now, I'm very happy to be here on two counts. One is privileged to be addressing all of you. Second, more importantly, from a selfish point of view, I think Cognizant is very pleased to have this partnership with the Congruent. Now, Balu mentioned saying that hey, we didn't have the big brother attitude, but as far as this partnership is concerned, I view Congruent as the bigger brother, because you do bring the thought leadership, the platform that we need for our success in a crowded marketplace where thousands or hundreds of services companies are trying to capture market share. So this partnership with Congruent has really helped us to differentiate ourselves and win certain important opportunities. I think that's a clear roadmap for long-term success, and at Cognizant we remain committed to this partnership, and insurance is a very strong area for Cognizant, and we do work with several marquee clients around the globe, and you do bring the right thought leadership, a great platform, and I'm sure this will be a win-win partnership for both Cognizant and Congruent. So we are quite excited about this partnership, and I was telling the team that I'll be addressing the Congruent team last week, and everybody sent me a note saying that hey, this is important, this is a very important relationship, we want to nurture this forward, and there are several important opportunities that we will be pursuing jointly. So I really wish the partnership even greater success as we look into the future. One of the things, in my role as NASSCOM, as NASSCOM chairman, one of the things that we want to sort of rebrand, reposition the industry also is to move away from the cost arbitrage or the labor arbitrage that India offers, which will continue to offer, that will continue to attract a lot of customers to India. But in addition to it, as an industry, we have matured a lot. Over the years, we have gained significant global experience, significant understanding of business pressures that our customers go through around the globe, a very good understanding of the regulatory environment that exists in various countries. Besides all this, I think we continue to invest and keep ourselves up to date in terms of technology. These are great advantages that we enjoy as an industry. I think time has come when India needs to position itself as a thought leader rather than delivering very cheap services. I think it is towards that journey that initiatives that congruent type of companies are pursuing is very, very important. It's our view that the whole industry is going through a significant transformation. The transformation that is characterized by people-intensive, people-led service delivery to knowledge, expertise, and IP-leveraged service delivery. That's going to be very, very important. From a back office providing operation support, business support, to an industry that is going to lead from the front in terms of coming out with innovative solutions that's going to solve customers' business problems worldwide. An industry that is predominantly focused on the low cost to what we want to call as the frugal innovation, because I view India itself is a hotbed for innovation. I think we also, as an industry, we have been encouraging all the companies to really look at the domestic market, because the domestic market offers a great deal of challenges, and as we work very hard to come up with solutions to address these challenges that exist within India, we will be able to come up with the world-beating solutions that other developed nations will be very readily willing to accept and adapt. So India can be a center for frugal innovation. I think that's where companies like Congruent will play a very important role in terms of reshaping the industry itself. So even in NASSCOM, we announced a 10K startup program. It's our ambition to have several thousand startup ventures created in India, just as what happened in Silicon Valley a couple of decades ago and continues to happen. And the response has been very encouraging. Within the first 3 months of announcing that initiative, we already had about 2,000 to 3,000 applicants who were interested in creating the startup. So we have a program whereby we really mentor some of these budding entrepreneurs, provide them the incubation infrastructure that they need to give shape to their ideas, and eventually introduce those products in the marketplace. And wherever I travel, whenever I visit various institutions, universities, when you talk to some of the youth in the country, you can see the urge in them to do something very different. They all feel very confident, very upbeat, very positive, and they feel that they would rather face failure in the early stage of their career and do something like start up new ventures rather than take up jobs. But it doesn't mean that people are not aspiring to get onto some high quality jobs, but it is changing. People want to do something on their own. You can see the drive for innovation amongst the youngsters in the country. That all augurs well in terms of the India IT industry moving up several notches. And the day is not very far off when world-class solutions will actually start coming from India. And it's expected that even Bangalore can be even bigger than Silicon Valley. That's a kind of aspiration that we all should have, And again, I want to once again congratulate Congruent for taking the steps in that direction. You may have been in the industry for 20 plus years, but you have come a long way, not only in providing services, but really encapsulating the knowledge that you have derived out of those services and coming out with products that are very, very unique in the marketplace. Second is, as an industry, we also want to foster these types of partnerships. Large companies like Cognizant and many other tier 1 players, we have access to the market. We work with already the large corporations around the globe. But we also need innovation that can differentiate our own services and our own solutions. And many startups have those solutions, path-breaking ideas. So if we both can come together, we can actually conquer the world. And that is the type of spirit and the partnership that you will see in the industry more and more. And even at NASSCOM, we are trying to facilitate that, trying to bring the capability with the opportunity so that we can capture the market very, very rapidly. So this partnership between Congruent and Cognizant is definitely the right step forward. And as I said earlier, we remain committed to this partnership. Balu also asked me to share a few thoughts on what has made Cognizant successful all these years, and in the process share my own experience of having been associated with Cognizant for the last 20 plus years. One of the things I may be just sharing with you at random, but all these aspects are very, very important, whether you're looking at it from an organization point of view or as an one individual own self point of view. First and foremost, I think we all need to have the belief in ourselves, that the belief that we can do tasks better than anybody else. That belief will bring the right type of attitude when we approach anything that we do. If somebody else can do a job, then we should have the belief that we can do it better than them. You will see it in the way you compete in the marketplace. If you respond to an RFP, if somebody else offers a cheaper solution, just from a commercial point of view, you should have the belief in the mechanism that you can beat the competition. So the belief that if somebody else can do a job, that then I or we can do it better. That will actually bring the very, very positive attitude in ourselves as well as in the teams that we work with within our own organization. So the self-belief is very, very important. The second aspect is to differentiate oneself. I think I mentioned it earlier that you moving towards product in a crowded marketplace is the right thing to do. Right? So I can relate that to even Cognizant when we started in 1994. I still vividly remember the first offsite that we had, after we started looking outside for opportunities in 1998. We went to Kunur just to decide on what should be the course that we should pursue for the organization. How should we organize ourselves? So in those days, I still remember many of the companies were organized along the technology lines or geography lines. But we always felt that we want to be very close to our customers, and we can add value to our customers only if we understand their business. So if you want to understand their business, that requires deeper specialization, collective knowledge, wisdom that we can gain from working with multiple customers in the same domain. So all these things can be facilitated only if you organize along the industry verticals. So that was the differentiator that we took to marketplace, that Cognizant was the first offshore company to organize along the industry vertical, which really helped us get a lot of traction with our customers. And if I look back and look what other competitors have done subsequently, now every tier 1 player has organized along the industry verticals, but Cognizant, we did that first. So that really helped us to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. We always try to be very different. You know, when even our origin as a company, we started in Chennai in 94, when the fashion was actually to start in Bangalore if you want to be a technology company. But we pursued a different path because the education infrastructure in Chennai was one of the best in the country at that time. We had access to the people, and we also had access to business application knowledge. Bangalore was more of a technology, R&D type of activities in those centers. So that really helped in us getting fantastic talent in the early days for Cognizant. So we were different in terms of even starting our operations in Chennai, which was, I don't want to say path-breaking, but which was very, very different, you know, very offbeat thinking. And even when we wanted to expand outside of Chennai, the second city that we went to is Calcutta. In those days, people used to ask, why Calcutta? Even now, people ask, why Calcutta? But our experience in Calcutta has been very different. Operationally, it has grown significantly, and it is still one of the best run centers for Cognizant. Again, we are the leaders in Cognizant in terms of our ability to attract talent. When we went public in 1998, we wanted to focus more on growth and less on margin. So we told our investors that we would return an operating margin of 19 to 20%, but in return, we will register a faster growth than peers in the industry. And year after year, we have been able to maintain that track record till date. So that again, financially a different model. You know, when all the other comparable companies were returning an operating margin of anywhere between 28 to 32%, we actually went with an operating margin of 19 to 20%, but we said we will grow faster. So our financial model was also very different. Prior to joining Cognizant, I was with TCS, and I was most recently, prior to joining Cognizant, in West Coast, managing the West Coast operations. I was more on the front end. And then after joining Cognizant, because we started as an offshore facility for Dun & Bradstreet, we were doing more of the back office role for D&B. But then the client relationships were very, very important. Most organizations choose whether you want to be a sales-oriented organization or a delivery-oriented organization. But Cognizant chose a different path in terms of having a right balance between marketing, sales, and delivery and operations. So we actually came up with the two-in-the-box operating model where every stakeholder within the organization had the right focus to do the right things for the customer. It's our belief that if you do the right things for your customer, then rest of the things in a growing marketplace will automatically take care of itself. So why I am elaborating one after the other is the reason for Cognizant success is really the desire to be very different in the marketplace. You know, don't want to follow the beaten track of what others have done, but follow a path that is very, very different, which will be very new. And even if you talk to many of our customers, they will always say Cognizant brings a fresh of breath air, because the way they interact, the way we manage the relationship is very different. It's not sales oriented, it's not just back end delivery oriented, but we have the right mix of both, you know, relationship as well as delivery excellence. So that is very, very important message that I want to leave with all of you. Try to be different in whatever you do. If you do that as an individual, collectively as an organization, you will be very, very different in a crowded marketplace. So that's the key message. But what is also important is the way we run our business. We have to really look at several attributes that we as individuals, as well as we as team leads within our own organization, need to bring to our workplace. First and foremost, we have to accept that every one of us have our own limitations. No individual can be perfect. No individual will have all the skills that are needed to deliver a project well or to manage a relationship well. So how do we really put our best foot forward? First and foremost, accept your limitations. That will actually open your eyes and minds to see how you can fill some of the gaps that you have to do the right things for the organization. Then you start seeking out for help. Then because of your receptiveness to take help, others also will come forward to help. So together as a team, we do what is right. Together as a team, we take the best to our clients. So the important point here is really the teamwork. No one individual can be successful without the help of the others. So you need to, as individuals, you need to be receptive to ideas. You need to really work as a team, and collectively we can solve any problem that is posed to us. So teamwork is the most essential thing for individuals to be successful, as well as for the organization to successfully wed the crowded marketplace. So teamwork is very, very essential. The second most important thing which Lakshmi in our organization always used to say is, you should have a team that is better than you. It's very difficult to accept, but if you accept and try to get people who are better than you to be part of your team, you will be a lot more successful. If you try to get people who are not as good as you, then the capability of what you're building will be only as good as you are. You're not going to take it to a much higher level. So from the beginning, we always focused on getting very bright people. Often case, they are much smarter, much brighter, and in terms of skills, capabilities that they bring to the table. And if you are able to get them to work together as a team, then the outcome is going to be wildly, wildly successful. So the second advice or tenets for successful enterprise is really, or successful individual is really to surround yourself with great people, people who are better than you. That's very, very essential. And the third aspect is, I think Balu and Sam alluded to earlier, never get ahead of yourself. The moment you think that you are the best in the world, then you stop pursuing the excellence. And true to the word, in Cognizant we try to say that actually, we empower the people and get them to run a mini Cognizant in whatever sphere of activities that they are working on. And really encourage them to think bigger and bigger. So if each mini Cognizant thinks bigger, collectively as an organization, sky is the limit for Cognizant. So how do you really create an entrepreneurial ecosystem where you have many executives who are actually like entrepreneurs and who think bigger and bigger, and the net result is, as collectively, the organization is going to be phenomenally successful. In fact, even this partnership with Congruent, I didn't know about it until Balu called me. So why I'm saying this is, these decisions are taken at the insurance business unit level. We trust them. We trust them to take the right decision, and we trust them that they will do everything in their capacity to do what is right for Cognizant. So don't really second guess the team with which you are working. As I said earlier, you have hired the best minds in the industry. Trust them to do the best things for you, right? So empowering the team is going to be very, very essential. And if you empower them, then you will feel that in a smaller environment, they will do the right thing. And as a company, you never think that you're too big, right? Because you are creating many more mini organizations within your own entire environment. So always think small, think one step at a time. And fourth thing is, all of us have aspirations. Aspirations, but we don't want to make an aspiration saying that, hey, we want to be the number one in the world, right? Those are all too aspirational, but we can't really quantify what that number one means. So take an assessment of where you are today, but always challenge yourself to do something better than what you're doing today. And look for a goal slightly out of reach, but not really in your dreams. You can still achieve it. So that way you will make every effort to scale that goal. And then once you achieve that goal, set the next incremental achievable goal. That way you will take one step at a time, and that way you scale higher and higher peaks. This time I want to contradict what Balu said. We don't want to aim for Mount Everest, but we will take one small peak at a time. Eventually we will get there. That's the path that we have pursued. Never really had, outrageous aspirations, which will remain aspirations, which will never be implemented. But if you set yourself some incremental goals, which will take you out of your comfort zone, then you will really work very hard to achieve that. This is true as an organization, but trust me, you follow that as an individual, you will definitely be very, very successful. I have tried it out in my own personal life. My background is I studied in Tamil medium and Chirgari, but had a lot of inferiority complex when I stepped out. But then, till I actually went to IIM, I always never had the self-confidence, right? But when I was in IIM, I wanted to try something different. I said, hey, why not I contest a student body election? That's a great step for me. I consulted some of my professors for help. They said, yeah. Then I stood for a placement committee representative where I had to go and make speech, get votes from the students. That was a new experience. But what I'm saying is, so I was really trying to get out of my comfort zone. Once you are able to be successful out of your comfort zone, then actually you don't really look back. Then you look for what is the next thing that you can do. Then one thing leads to another. So that way, focus on getting out of your comfort zone, set incremental goals and scale them. So I can go on and on, but I think I've given enough thoughts on what has made Cognizant successful, and in the process what has made me successful. But I really want to thank each and every one of you. Thank Balu for inviting me to be here this afternoon. And congratulations to all the awardees and the recipients of a long service award. Whenever we have this function in our own company, the points that I tell Cognizant associates is, organizations like Cognizant or Congruent are built by people. If you are not there, we are not here. Cognizant is not here, Congruent is not here. So the role that you all play is very, very critical. And it is you who have made the organization successful or what it is today. But I also tell them that if you have very big career aspirations, you need to have the patience and the perseverance. I always tell them, look around yourself. Just analyze the CEOs of every company that you know of, in any sector. CEOs in their career track record, they would have spent at least 5 to 10 years in one company. So I always tell the associates, don't jump for immediate greener pastures. That will get you more pay with every jump, but eventually it will ground you. But if you are patient, very passionate and very committed, and deliver the good for the organization that you're working for continuously, maybe 5 years, 10 years, and build your career track record that way, it's guaranteed that you will be a CXO of a very notable firm in the future. So I just want to leave that thought with you, and once again, thank you for this. I feel more comfortable interacting than just a monologue, so I'll leave sufficient time for any question and answers that you may have. We can keep it very interactive.
What is on the mobile computing?
Yeah, great questions. I just want to draw upon an analogy. This is a question that we keep getting, almost all the time. This is a perpetual question. Again, dating back to when Cognizant started, those shift from mainframe to client server, then PC, then internet. People used to ask, hey, is mainframe dead, right? Even today, mainframes are not dead. They will morph into something else. Today they are morphing into a back-end, server. So it's still there. So as you see more and more of SMAC, social mobile analytics, and cloud, it's not that the old systems are going to go extinct. They will continue to exist, but it will serve a very different purpose in your business life cycle. So if you take retail or financial services, any industry, what mobile is doing is throwing open a new channel for customers to transact business, right? It's a new channel, additional channel, maybe more transactions will happen through the channel, but it is not going to replace completely the web-based transactions. They will continue to be there. They also have a very important role to play. So it's our belief that these technologies will coexist, and they will have their own share of the operational load for any enterprise. Sorry, what is the second question? What is Cognizant doing about? Yeah, we view any of these technology as horizontals. It's a very difficult thing to explain. Though we have verticals and horizontals, within that we have, unless you create an organization structure where they are able to seamlessly collaborate, you will never be able to bring the right solution to the marketplace. So in Cognizant, we have kept all these technology services as horizontals, but we even want the horizontals to come up with point solutions that's going to address a vertical business problem. So it's a coexistence, mutual dependency for each of those practices to be successful. And at a primary organization level, we look at the vertical P&L. Horizontals also what we call as the shadow P&L. But the verticals cannot be successful without the excellence of the horizontal. The horizontals will never be successful without the market opportunity the verticals bring. So it's actually a matrixed organization, and there is a good mutual dependency that makes each other successful. So all technology services, including mobile, analytics, are all horizontal services.
Chandra, as service providers, we know that our customers select us, we are vendors. But internally within Cognizant, do you have any formula for selecting who has to be your customer? Have you ever walked away from a customer?
There are a few business opportunities we turned away, because we believe in building a long-term customer relationship. And we also study the customer environment, customer's business, and then see whether potentially it will lend to a long-term relationship. If the customers are just asking you to provide some staff aug type of resources, then we stay away from those opportunities, because we may try it to start with, but if we find out that that's the mode that the customers are wanting to work with you, then it's not going to help us bring the best of Cognizant to those engagements. So there will be always somebody else who will do better than what you are doing, because you are not focused on that type of services. So we have walked away from those types of opportunities. You should never hesitate to say no if it is not in your, if it's not your cup of tea.
Hari, thanks Chandra for sharing the success factors of the company. And every company has its own success factors, and we develop it over a period of time. And as we grow, how do we ensure all the small teams, workers, and entrepreneurs, how do we ensure that they are maintaining the same company ethics and company values, and they move towards the same vision?
Actually, thank you for asking that question. That was one of the points I had noted, wanted to share. Of all the things that I mentioned, the most important thing is the values and ethics, which is almost a binary. We don't compromise on those. And whether the company is small or big, these are actually factors that are determined by the culture that you have in the organization. The culture is actually deeply established within the organization through the senior people, management team to start with, and that needs to percolate down. So another thing that I normally tell our associates during these long service awards, you are the torch bearers for the culture of the organization. You actually sort of imbibe the value systems in all the teams, because we hire thousands of graduates from college. How do we really nurture them to follow the same value systems that organization has defined? And the senior people in the organization, people who have spent 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25, they need to live by those value systems. And other youngsters who are joining the organization, they will observe and they will also follow the same values and virtues that you follow. That way, you can retain the culture of the organization, which is very, very important for the long-term success. If you lose your culture, you lose it all. So the senior people in the organization play a very, very important role in, keeping that culture alive. Whatever culture we define for ourselves.
Hi. Since you are on field, I would like to have a question related to the field. Particularly the core solutions, whatever the Congruent develop, it belong to enterprise class. We know the buying cycles in enterprise class, how long they are. Sometimes they take years. That had been the story with Congruent also. And second thing is even the resistance from the organizations also, particularly these legacy to modern systems. We know the internal resistance, the IT bias and all those things. Even we can share our story also, how it had been for the last 2 years, waiting for the first week. So from your experience, would you like to share any such?
Definitely, I think Ballu forwarded some article that was published recently in the Spark journal, which talks about the obsolescence of technology in the insurance area, particularly in the retirement. And that's where, you have been able to address a very critical need of the retirement business within the insurance industry, right? I think there is a realization that if you're lagging behind in terms of technology adoption, sooner or later it is going to catch up with all the customers. I'll give you another example. Several years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, when we had the meetings of various CIOs, we used to ask the retail CIO, why is technology adoption in retail very slow? In those days, banking, they will embrace any new technology that you announce. Retail was always the laggard, and insurance was also the laggard in terms of adoption of technology. But today, if you really look at it, if you talk about SMAC technology, it's a retail. If I have to give an example, the first example that will come to my mind is actually the retail. How they are able to attract the consumers to their products and services. So retail is a completely transformed industry today, supporting multi-channels of transaction. So I'm sure time will come, insurance also will be in the forefront in terms of embracing newer technologies. And the solutions that you are taking to the marketplace will accelerate that process. So it's only a matter of time. If some of the companies are lagging behind, they're going to lag behind in the marketplace if they don't embrace technology. So the technology adoption is a key factor for any enterprise success. So you can be rest assured of that.
With partnerships, you are encouraging new entrepreneurs and new companies to introduce their products and other things. Within Cognizant, do you have anything in any verticals you're developing anything? So
yeah, actually we are constantly on the lookout where, as I said, it's our intention also to move away from people-intensive service delivery to IP-led service delivery. So we are looking at IP where we can encapsulate our services and take it as a complete business solutions for our clients. So this is a great example where what we have done with your core DC product. Another example that I can think of is, we also offer digital asset management solutions. If you have digital assets, how do you really manage digital assets that are floating in the various parts of the organization? So rather than building a new product for digital asset management, we have tied up with another product company, and we have wrapped around our knowledge, experience, and process capabilities, and offer digital asset management as a service. Right? So we continuously are on the lookout for. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. If there are good solutions available in the market, we would rather use them and try to add value to what already exists.
Chandra, there are a lot of these terminologies floating around, SaaS, PaaS, BPaaS, and so on and so forth. In your view, should a company be, wedded to some of these models, or really take an approach of horses for courses and be flexible? Being different vehicles to solve the problem, as opposed to being preconceived and saying, this is what I'm going to go to market with.
Yeah. But actually, this is a journey, and it's our belief that eventually everything will be bought as a service, right? And we need to build our capability in that direction. Increasingly, even our own services, clients are willing to give us a lot more responsibility, a lot more ownership, as long as you can guarantee certain output or outcome. So there's already a mindset change when the customer is when the customers are contracting you based on the business outcome, not based on how many hours, how many months you're putting on to deliver that outcome. So already we are moving towards that outcome. Once that happens, how you deliver that outcome, you will have a lot more flexibility, right? And that can be offered as a project, and more importantly, if it is really truly a business outcome, it can be pay as you consume, right? It will be as a service. And we see that happening. And even in one of the insurance companies, we are signing up enterprise, I won't call it enterprise, one certain division where the disability, where we are offering them complete package, right, from infrastructure to application support to bringing SMAC technology to reduce the disability period. So if the disability period reduces, the employees benefit because they get to work faster so that they get full pay. The insurance companies benefit because the less disability period, less cost for them. The employer benefits because they get the worker back to work very soon, right? So it's a win-win partnership. So what we have told the insurance companies, hey, give us the complete responsibility for running your disability operations. We will bring in SMAC technology, work with the patient, monitor their progress remotely, give them the right interventions, and then bring down the disability period itself. So you can pay us certain minimum retention fee, but based on the gains that you have because of the reduced disability period, we can have a profit sharing arrangement, right? So you see different models evolving, and ultimately everything will be offered as a service or everything will be offered against certain business outcome. Once that happens, how you do things, that's where these partnerships count. You cannot be reinventing the wheel. You need to really, latch on to something that already exists, build solutions very quick, faster time to market, and grab as much market share as possible.
Hi. What would be the key technical skills that would be in the demand for the next 3 to 5 years? And the other question would be, what are the factors you consider when you evolve as a company from a startup to a leader? So how do you...
On the first question, I will give a very generic answer. I don't think you can predict what will be in demand for the next 3 years, 5 years, or even next year. But what we tell our people within Cognizant, and probably same applies to all of you also, is you need to develop the ability to learn whatever is going to be relevant on that day. It's not enough if you just have the skills to do a program for the day. We need to really have the learnability. Learnability is the skill you need to have. Once you have that, you are insured for your life. You can keep learning things. So focus on learning, not just developing some platform skills or tool skills. So that's the fundamental ingredient for any IT professional. Your learnability is the most important skill that you need to have. And once you have that, technology doesn't really matter. And the second question, what differentiates, or how do you become a leader from being a beginner, is really your ability to learn from the mistakes. That's number one. More importantly, your ability to be innovative, right? Innovation is going to determine who is going to be the leader for tomorrow. You cannot continue to do what others have done, right? Because many others are doing it. Why would anybody come to you, right? And so the only way you can become a leader is to bring the right thought leadership and your ability to be a lot more proactive in identifying a problem and providing a solution. Those are the things that will differentiate a leader rather than just following what others have done already very well for several years.
Hi, this is Mukul here. I'm part of marketing team. Once we have had substantial amount of information for newer geographies wherein we have not traded in past, and we have figured out there has been a substantial market opportunity. Like these are the tier 1 clients, these are the tier 2 clients, these do not have them, they are thinking about them. So what we have been doing, and we have been managing well in terms of a lot of campaigns and targeting a lot of talent pools in terms of the technology or the segment. or even targeting a talent pool in a lot of key events, and doing a lot of personalized email campaign, and there are a lot of marketing plan we have been doing. What would be the smartest way, wherein I need your attention to make us understand what would be the smartest way to actually figure out those early steps in terms of understanding the market opportunity and acting upon on newer geographies?
I don't know whether I have sufficient knowledge and experience to talk about this particularly for your line of business, but one general advice is today there's so much of information available in the social media, right? So if you analyze the social media, you will be able to spot a demand for certain type of solutions. That's one. And second is, I'm sure you're working with many of your clients. Just having a good conversation with your clients will help you understand what their problems are. Somebody else's problem is a market opportunity for you, right? So that's where you keep your eyes and ears open and see what type of problems the insurance companies around the world are facing. You know, if you're clued on to that, then you will hit upon the right solutions that can be that can help you to, you know, get the market share ahead of the competition. So keep your eyes and ears open. You know, follow the social media. You will definitely hit upon the right opportunities. I don't know. Maybe it's a very generic answer, but I can't be more specific than that. Actually, having jotted down a few points, I do want to leave this thought with you, which I actually copied from Matreya's book. It says that to scale greater heights, if you keep doing the same stuff, you will keep getting the same results. If you want to achieve what you haven't achieved before, you must be willing to do what you have not done before. Second thing is, if you want to follow the path everyone walks, you will reach where everyone reaches. So if you want to reach where nobody else has reached, you have to follow a different path, and you have to follow what others have not done before. So I just want to leave that thought with you. Thank you.
May I now request Bala to present the memento to Mr. Chandrasekar.